Hey there, coin collectors and history buffs. Welcome back to today. We're diving into a classic piece of American coinage, the 1976 Lincoln cent, also known as the 1976 penny. We're going to explore its history, design, and most importantly, its circulated value. So if you've got some pennies from the bicentennial year lying around, stick with me, you might be sitting on a hidden treasure. The year 1976 was a special one for the United States. It marked the 200th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, a momentous occasion celebrated across the country. To honor this milestone, the U.S. Mint released a special bicentennial penny design along with the quarter and half-dollar coins. Instead of the usual Lincoln Memorial design on the back, the 1976 penny featured a brand new reverse design created by artist Dante Giacosa. This design shows the Liberty Bell, symbolizing American independence, with a small eagle to the right, paying tribute to Lincoln's traditional image on the front. On the obverse side, we still have the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. The front reads, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the year 1976. On the reverse, the Liberty Bell is prominent, with the inscription, United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, and 1 cent, clearly visible. This design was only used for 2 years, in 1975 and 1976, making the 1976 penny an interesting piece for collectors. Now, let's talk numbers. The 1976 penny was minted at 2 locations: the Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, producing over 3.8 billion pennies; the Denver Mint, marked with a D, producing over 2.4 billion pennies. Because so many were made, these pennies are very common in circulation. You probably have a few in your pocket or your coin jar right now. So, what about the value? For the average circulated 1976 penny, whether from Philadelphia or Denver, the value is generally just face value, 1 cent. These coins are so common that even worn or heavily circulated examples aren't worth much more than their spending power. But there are some exceptions collectors should know about. If you find a 1976 penny in uncirculated condition or with minimal wear, it might be worth a few cents to $1 to collectors. Some rare error coins from 1976, like double die obverse or off-center strikes, can be worth significantly more. These error coins are harder to find but can command prices from a few dollars to hundreds depending on severity. The 1976 Lincoln cents were also minted in proof sets, which were specially made for collectors with a mirror-like finish. These proof pennies are worth more than regular circulated coins, often selling for a few dollars or more depending on condition. If you want to start collecting 1976 pennies or check if yours has value, here's a quick checklist. Check the mint mark on the front, just below the date. No mark means Philadelphia, D means Denver. Look for any unusual marks, doubling, or off-center designs. These might be errors. Use a magnifying glass to inspect the details carefully. Compare your coin to high-quality images from trusted numismatic websites. And remember, condition is king. The less wear and tear, the higher the value. So, is your 1976 penny worth a fortune? Probably not if it's just a regular circulated coin, but it's still a great piece of history and a fun collectible. And who knows, you might find that rare error that changes everything. 1961 penny. We'll explore its background, how much it's worth in circulated condition, and what collectors should look out for. So, if you're a penny enthusiast or just curious, stick around. The Lincoln cent has been a staple of American coinage since 1909, and the 1961 penny is part of that classic tradition. In 1961, the Lincoln penny was still made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, just like most cents before 1982. The design features President Abraham Lincoln on the front, a design created by Victor David Brenner, and the wheat ears reverse, which was used until 1958. Actually, correction here, by 1961, the reverse design was the Lincoln Memorial, introduced in 1959, replacing the wheat ears design. So, the 1961 penny has the Lincoln Memorial on the back, a design that was used for over 50 years until 2008. This penny represents a bit of Americana and history, and it still circulates today, even if it's over 60 years old. In 1961, pennies were minted in 2 locations, Philadelphia and Denver. The Philadelphia Mint coins have no mint mark, while Denver coins carry a D mint mark just below the date. There were no major errors or varieties for 1961 pennies that dramatically affect their value, but subtle differences can be interesting for some collectors. Now for the big question, what's a 1961 penny worth today, especially in circulated condition? Generally speaking, 1961 pennies are pretty common and not considered rare. In circulated condition, that means pennies that show signs of wear from everyday use. They are usually worth just their face value. 1 cent. Yep, most 1961 pennies you find in your change are worth about 1 cent because they're so common. But that doesn't mean there aren't opportunities to find more valuable coins. If you happen to find a 1961 penny in uncirculated or mint condition, meaning it looks almost new without any wear, the value can increase significantly. Here's a quick breakdown. Good, G4, to very fine, VF, 20** about 1 cent, face value, extremely fine, EF, 40** around 10 to 20 cents about uncirculated, negative 50 Australian dollars ** 30 to 50 cents uncirculated, MS, 60 to MS, 65 ** $1 to $5 or more, depending on the coin's eye appeal and strike quality. So, if you have a 1961 penny that looks almost brand new, it's worth checking with a coin dealer or grading service. Sometimes, uncirculated pennies can surprise you with their value. There are a few reasons why 1961 pennies generally aren't worth much. High mintage ***. The Philadelphia Mint produced about 1.9 billion pennies, and Denver produced around 730 million in 1961. That's a ton of coins flooding circulation. No rare errors ***. Unlike some coins with minting mistakes that can skyrocket value, 1961 pennies don't have notable error varieties that collectors hunt for. Common copper composition ***. They are mostly copper, which is valuable for scrap, but copper prices fluctuate. And melting pennies is illegal in the US. Even though most 1961 pennies are worth just a penny, collecting them can still be fun. Here are some quick tips. Look for uncirculated coins or those with minimal wear. Check for coins with strong, sharp details on Lincoln's face and the memorial. Watch out for coins with unusual coloration or toning. Sometimes this can add collector interest. Keep your pennies stored properly to avoid damage. Avoid humidity and fingerprints. Oh, there you have it. The 1961 Lincoln cent is a classic piece of U.S. history, and while most are worth just a penny in circulated condition, there's still value to be found if you're lucky enough to have one in pristine shape. It's a great coin to add to your collection if you're starting out or love American coins. The story of the Lincoln penny begins in 1909, the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Before 1909, U.S. pennies featured the Liberty head design, but that changed when the Lincoln cent was introduced, becoming the first regular-issue U.S. coin to feature a real person instead of symbolic figures like Liberty. This was a big deal at the time. Abraham Lincoln was, and still is, one of the most revered presidents in American history, known for preserving the Union during the Civil War and ending slavery. So, placing his image on the penny was a tribute to his legacy. The Lincoln penny was designed by Victor David Brenner, a sculptor and engraver. Brenner's design was inspired by a plaque he had created earlier featuring Lincoln's profile. Brenner's portrait of Lincoln is considered one of the most recognizable and enduring designs in U.S. coinage history. It's a simple yet powerful profile that has lasted over 100 years. From 1909 to 1958, the reverse of the penny featured 2 wheat ears, often called the wheat penny. But in 1959, the reverse was changed to honor the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, introducing the Lincoln Memorial design, which remained until 2008. The 1961 penny you see here has that Lincoln Memorial on the back, symbolizing a lasting tribute to Lincoln's impact on the nation. This design was part of a long tradition of reflecting American history and values through coinage. In 1961, America was in the midst of the post-World War II boom. It was the beginning of the space race, with President John F. Kennedy taking office, promising a new era of progress and innovation. So, while the penny itself hadn't changed much, it was circulating in a country on the cusp of massive social and technological change. This coin connects us to that dynamic period in history. The 1961 penny was made primarily of copper, about 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This copper composition would continue until 1982 when rising copper prices led to the switch to mostly zinc with a thin copper plating. Millions of these coins were produced at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, making it one of the most common pennies you'll find from that era. Although common, the 1961 penny is cherished by collectors because it represents a link to both a legendary president and a vibrant era in American history. Every time you hold a 1961 penny, you're holding a tiny piece of history, a reminder of Lincoln's enduring legacy and the America of the early 1960s. Today, we're diving into the world of the classic American penny, specifically the 1988 1-cent penny, also known as the Lincoln cent. The 1988 penny is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series, which started way back in 1909 to celebrate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. But what makes the 1988 penny interesting? How much is it worth? And should you keep an eye out for one in your pocket change? Let's find out. The 1988 penny features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner. On the reverse side, it has the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo. This design was used from 1959 all the way through 2008. Like most pennies from 1982 onward, the 1988 cent is made mostly of copper-plated zinc, about 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper. This was a change from earlier pennies, which were mostly coppered. In 1988, the U.S. Mint produced a whopping 6.78 billion pennies. They were struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D mint mark; and San Francisco, S mint mark for proof coins. So, unless you have a proof coin from San Francisco, you're most likely to find either a Philadelphia or Denver penny in circulation. Now, the big question: what's the value of a 1988 penny found in circulation today? Well, for the most part, these pennies are worth their face value. 1 cent. Why? Because billions of them were made and they're still quite common. The metal content, being mostly zinc, isn't worth more than the penny itself in today's market. But that doesn't mean every 1988 penny is worthless. Condition plays a big role here. In circulated condition, meaning a penny that's been used and shows signs of wear, the 1988 penny typically sells for 1 to 2 cents tops. But uncirculated or mint condition pennies can be worth more. An uncirculated 1988 penny in pristine condition can fetch around 50 cents to a couple of dollars depending on the grading. Collectors love those crisp details with no scratches or wear. Are there any special varieties or errors with the 1988 penny? Great question. While the 1988 penny doesn't have many famous major errors like double dies or rare mint errors, some minor errors do exist. Things like off-center strikes, double die obverse or reverse, or planchet flaws could bump the value up. If you think you found an error coin, it's a good idea to get it graded by a professional for an accurate value. If you're a coin collector or just getting started, here's a quick tip. Always check the date and mint mark on pennies you find, and keep an eye out for coins that look cleaner and shinier than the others. Also, consider picking up rolls of pennies from banks. Sometimes you might find uncirculated coins or rare errors hidden in there. Oh, to wrap it up, the 1988 penny is mostly a common coin worth face value in circulated condition. But if you're lucky enough to find an uncirculated or error version, that coin could be worth a bit more. Before we talk about value, let's step back and explore the history behind the 1988 penny, where it came from, and why it looks the way it does. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, breaking away from the traditional symbolic designs. Why 1988? The penny was already a staple of American currency for nearly 80 years. The design on the front still shows Lincoln's portrait, but the reverse features the Lincoln Memorial, which was added in 1959 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. During the 1980s, the penny was made primarily from zinc with a thin copper plating. This switch happened in 1982 because the rising price of copper made producing a penny out of mostly copper too expensive for the U.S. Mint. By 1988, the penny had become a zinc core with a copper coating, which is what you're holding in your pocket today. The late 1980s were a time of economic growth in the United States. Coins like the 1988 penny were produced in huge numbers to meet the needs of a growing population and booming economy. Even though pennies aren't worth much individually, they're a piece of history, small reminders of Lincoln's legacy and American history. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about pennies or other coins, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss out. Thanks for watching. Drop a comment below if you have any 1988 pennies or other coins you want me to talk about. Until next time, keep collecting.